40,000. That's essential trim for you. I don't know if you can see it or not. All right, here we are. Get these bolts for the thermostat housing clean. There we go. They're good and clean. Ready to install the thermostat housing. Okay. Thermostat housing, thermostat gasket. Got some of the good RTV, not the cheap stuff. Put it on the thermostat housing. Doesn't have to be a lot, just enough to be tacky. We need our thermostat bypass on the water pump. It didn't want to start at first battle, and I wanted to be careful that I didn't damage the threads in the aluminum intake. All right, it's snug. Let's torque it down. 20 foot-pounds per 6B-41 in the chassis service manual. 20 foot-pounds or 240 inch-pounds. That one's good. That one's good. Excellent. Make sure you tighten down these hose clamps. There we go, good and tight. Okay, need to get the headers on, battle. And I got these header studs because I had stage 8 bolts and they were a pain. And I had some Percy's Vibe Lock bolts and they were a pain. And I would get, 2 or 3 on the front of the head started, and then I'd have to loosen them up. And 2 or 3 on the back of the head started, and then I'd have to loosen them up. So we'll go ahead and try these guys, see if they work. All right, the coarse thread goes into the head. We need the exhaust manifold gasket, battle. That guy does not want to start. And it's sort of surprising to me that these studs don't have a shank that you can fit a wrench on or an Allen head on the end. I put a little bit of oil on the stud because there's some grit in the head. All right, I chased this hole with one of the bolts and ran it all the way in with my wrench. And of course, it's still got grit in there. It's something in the head, battle, because there are no burrs on the stud. This is why headers are a pain in the butt. Do not run headers unless your classic is intended entirely for the track. Such a pain, such a pain. All right, I had to disconnect the collector completely. They were loose, but it just wasn't cutting it. And it's not threading hardly at all. It's catching a burr. Oh, I think maybe I just got it started. I had to go to the hardware store and get 6-point hardware. Let me show you, Battle. See? Have to have a hex nut on one of the studs so you can get an open-end wrench on it. I don't know why ARP didn't include a few 6-point nuts to go with the kit, because it's specifically for headers. That's why you use studs. And get them good and tight with specified German torque spec. All right, the passenger side header is in there. We just need to attach the collector on the bottom once we get the driver's side in. Okay, here we are on the driver's side, getting the header studs in. And of course, sort of got some nastiness in there. I give you 4 extra. I think I'd rather have some hex nuts in the pack than extra studs. Of course, it's probably a universal kit for Ford and Mopar and everything. Here we go. Just gotta hold your tongue right now. Again, it's just this one right here that's got a little bit of grit in it. And got one of these header bolts that I'll run in there with some oil on it. These were hot tanked at the machinist, and then I had tape over the gasket surface when I spray painted them. So it's just some sort of grit, some sort of nastiness. Get it snug and back it back off. Now, so much for the nice paint on the headers. All right, Battle, I got this stud started on this side. I had to take the stud out of the back. I don't think I'm gonna have to use a 6-point nut on this side, but this stud is gonna have to come out once we put the alternator on. Really, it's a two-person job. And these are the high quality Headman headers. I didn't have to dimple them at all to put them in. If you have a set of headers and you're having to use a BFH to dimple the collector to get them to fit in your car or your truck, then that's not what right looks like. Hopefully you got them cheap at least. Well, Battle, this driver's side header is being a pain in the rear. I have one bolt loose on the connector connecting it to the exhaust, and then I have 3 of the 4 bottom bolts in, but that rear bolt, a stud, does not work. And I recall in the past I had to do it. I just put a bolt back there because the header tube is so close to the bolt, so you have to be able to get in there with an open end wrench. So I'm fighting it. Just got that back bolt started. It's about 5 minutes since I last talked to you. Just had to hold my tongue right. I haven't lost my cool. So things are going okay. If I can get the headers in today, that will be a good headway. See? Open end wrench back here. Not enough room for a box wrench or one of the ratcheting wrenches. This front guy started, even though we're gonna have to replace him with a different bolt later when our alternator bracket goes on. So here is the exhaust manifold gasket. It's right in there like that. And we need a stud up here. I was having difficulty. I chased it many times with a bolt, and there's some sort of grit in there. Got a hex nut from the hardware store right here so I can get my open end wrench on it. We're getting there, Battle. I'll come back tomorrow and I can get all the ports on the intake manifold, get the alternator hooked up, and you're gonna have to wait until next video to see it start, Battle. Righty-tighty, Battle. Sort of like with knockoff rims, red is always right. I'm gonna have to get knockoff rims for this car. I don't know if I'll ever do an LS swap, but it needs a set of knockoff rims. There's really not much information on YouTube about knockoff rims. We're going to assemble all the fittings on top of the intake manifold. You can see that I have some tape over the carburetor opening because I don't need anything falling into the engine. I'm pretty close. So the first fitting I'm going to put on there is this one right here. Remember, I broke the old fitting when I was doing the disassembly, and this is TS11, which is a standard sensor. And this is just the dummy light on the dash. So a car that does not have the gauge, it's already got some thread sealing compound on it. While we're at it, we can go ahead and get the studs in place for the carburetor. Now I have 2 plugs to plug off the water jacket, because right here is the switched, normally open switched ground for my electric fan, and then right here and right here are plugs. You can use a little bit of Teflon tape. Since these go into the water jacket, they are pipe thread. They seal on the threads. Teflon tape has always been a difficulty for me since I have essential trimmers. Make sure you put it on the right way so that it doesn't come off when you tighten the fitting. Come on, old 64. There we go. She's ready to go on. Once we get all these fittings in the intake, we can prime the oil pump. I'm not going to start it today, but I just want to make sure I get some oil up to the valve train, and then we'll put the valve cover gaskets on and button everything up. We got the vacuum elbow for the vacuum booster for the power brakes. That goes on the back. This guy is the oil pressure sensor for the dummy light, and that actually goes right here behind the water pump. I had to replace this. There we go. And to tighten it down, you can buy a kit at your local auto parts store. It's a 1 1/16 socket, and it's just extra deep with a shoulder on it so it doesn't smash the connector. Go ahead and snug it on down. We got a small manifold vacuum fitting that goes right in front of the carburetor. All of the accessories on this old Oldsmobile are manifold vacuum. The transmission modulator, and then they've discussed a lot on the forums whether or not manifold or porta vacuum is better for the vacuum advance. Just look at that battle. Just barely enough space to clear that right there for the throttle return spring. We're getting down to the bottom, battle. Let's do another plug on the back of the intake manifold on the driver's side to plug the coolant jacket. Now we have a little tiny plug, and it actually goes right back here behind the carburetor. Give you a better angle so you can see. Don't want a vacuum leak. Good and snug. The next to go in is right here. On this side, this is just an adapter, and here is the normally open switch. Once it gets up, I think this is a 190 degree switch. So once it gets up to 190 degrees, it closes, and then that provides ground to the electric fan, and the fan kicks on. All right, before I put the valve covers on, I want to prime the oil pump. So I have my drill. I have a 5/16 socket, 1/4 inch drive with some extensions. And we're moving this cover. So, notice I got everything taped up. Not going to be dropping anything. Fit it on the end of the oil pump shaft. All right, here goes. Let's look for oil. Yep, I got oil back here, battle. My oil pump is pumping, and I'm making a mess. So that's what I wanted to do. I just wanted to pump oil up to the rockers. All right, Battle. The drill's getting hot. It's gonna take a while, but I have oil to a few of these rockers. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and put the valve cover gaskets on the valve covers and install the valve covers, and we can get everything the rest of the way assembled. I'm gonna put this back over the distributor hole until we're ready to install the distributor. See? Oil from some of the rockers. We got the driver's side valve cover and the passenger side valve cover. Because it's PCV and that's breather right there. So we need to get the gaskets on. Just use some blue RTV, and I had cleaned these valve covers from the old RTV, so it doesn't take much. All right. Now let's go ahead and put this side up. Here we go. Perfect. That one's ready. Let's go ahead and do our passenger side. Just a little bit of RTV on the valve cover. Go ahead and put that side up. Position it on there. All right, Battle, we're ready to go. Let's go back over to the car and get these valve covers on. Here goes the valve cover. Doesn't catch. It wants to be a pain in the rear because it's just sitting on there a little bit cattywampus. I'm not even going to snug them down. I'm just going to get them started. The fancy painted valve covers are good at least for 10 or 12 horsepower, right? Well, not if I get these bolts in cross-threaded. If they're cross-threaded, the guy with the red beard, he's going to know. He's going to call me out on it, and I'll never live it down. So you don't want to over-torque these valve cover bolts, or it will damage the valve cover. All right, Battle, got that one Guten tight. Let's go ahead and get the driver's side valve cover on. Here we go. Driver's side valve cover. PCV fitting right there. There we go. Now it caught. It's just a little bit cockeyed. I don't know if these bolts are OE or if I got them at the hardware store when I built that other engine and installed it, because I have another set of valve cover bolts and all they are is little bolts with washers. But these guys, I think, look a little nicer. They have the big shoulder on them. Now I would recommend to not use cheapy chrome valve covers that you can get at the parts warehouses. I like these Oldsmobile valve covers. Like I said before, I think they came 73 and later. And the valve covers off of a big block will fit on a small block and vice versa. So that might be something worth investing in. I would say check out the salvage yards, but aren't many Oldsmobiles left in the salvage yards. All right, valve covers are on. Let's see what steps next. Let's go ahead and gap these spark plugs to 40 thousandths and then install them. And you could say, oh, well, my spark plugs are going to be gapped out of the box, but it looks like these ones are about 25 thousandths out of the box, so it's good that I checked them. As they say in the electronics world, best workmanlike practice to put a little bit of anti-seize on the threads, and it doesn't take much. Definitely if it was a aluminum head, but since we have old school G castings, I snug them down. And these old Oldsmobiles call for R45 spark plugs, the AC Delco number, but these are just Champion 86s that I got on the cheap. Get that guy snug. Okay, we got the driver's side spark plugs in. Let's go to the passenger side. Here we go. The passenger side spark plugs, 40 thousandths. Yeah, these aren't even 25 or 30 thousandths. I'm glad I am checking the gap. Come on, old 64. It started out too close, and then I expanded it way too far. Look at that, Battle. It's not even 10 thousandths. Get that snug. All right, Battle. The spark plugs are in. I want to get the fan shroud and the fan on. Get the heater core valve in the back of the intake. So we're getting a lot closer. So, Battle, thanks for helping me out today. Only thing left to do is to stab the distributor and start her up next time. Miss Bit's helping us out today. So let us know in the comments down below what type of header bolt you like. Do you use the Percy's Viblock? Do you use the Stage 8? Or do you use the ARP studs? We'll see you next time, Battle. Truthfully, I'm not very motivated to do this today. Actually, you know what? Oh! And I lost a washer. I don't know where it went. It's either on the cross member or underneath the car.